Hello, this is Katie Jost, and today we are talking about assessing and teaching fluency and comprehension. As you can see in my tree model, the fluency and comprehension takes up the biggest chunk in how we are reading these days. We learned last week a little bit about the reading model and talking about phonics and the phonic awareness, and talking about decoding words, and that ties in beautifully with fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension for this week. All of those fitting nicely together, talking about how to read and how to put fluency and comprehension to work. Fluency is not just reading quickly. That is definitely not what we're talking about here. We are talking about reading text accurately and with expression. With that does come reading quickly, but that is definitely not what we are looking for here. Reading fluent is important because it does bridge word recognition and comprehension. Fluency for students, we're looking at them to pay close attention to the way the text is written and how they are taking into account the punctuation, how the words are used as they're reading, and how they're telling the story. Students should read what's on the page, so that they shouldn't be omitting words or adding words to the text. As students continue to develop fluency skills, they will increase their words read correctly per minute, which means then the teachers are able to measure how the students are improving their fluency. This takes into account phrasing, smoothness, and then their pace. So then the teachers are able to go ahead and monitor fluency and how they can see how they're growing month to month. Characteristics of fluent readers, basically they're looking at recognizing their high frequency words, snap words, sight words, things of that nature. They're applying their phonics knowledge, things that they have learned, how to put those words together. They're learning how to use those decoding skills. How do those words look familiar? Are parts of those words familiar to them? Are they able to break apart those words into syllables and decode them and then put them back together and then smooth that back together into the sentence? How is their speed? Are they become fluent when they are being realized as fluent readers? They're reading 100 words per minute. That's being built over time. So obviously they're not coming into kindergarten, first grade fluent readers. They're building that up over time. That speed is going to vary depending on the purpose of their reading and the text complexity, and definitely coming with practice. And then lastly, are they able to chunk those words into phrases? Are they reading smoothly with few pauses and breakdowns? Are they reading with expression? And how is their pace and their recognition of punctuation, excuse me. Then moving on to comprehension. So comprehension is talking about fluency. It's one thing to be able to read the words, but now are we understanding what we're reading? We can't just read the word and I don't understand a thing I just read. We need to think about comprehension. So do we understand what is actually on the page? So we have to think about encompassing a lot of factors into there. So we're talking about the background knowledge. What do we already know about what we're reading? What about the vocabulary? And then of course the fluency, thinking about strategies and skills of comprehension, and then motivation. So when we put all of those things together, we are talking about what do students already know about what they're reading? What about the vocabulary? What strategies in reading are they using already? What familiar words do they know with how they can read a sentence? Maybe they don't know a word. Can they use context clues? Can they use a picture? How are they using vocabulary? Are they able to look a word up? Then we go into fluency. We already discussed fluency is basically reading accurately, quickly, and with expression. Then we talk about comprehension skills and strategies. Strategies are students can make connections, infer, create images, and ask questions about the story, whereas skills is basically now we're putting that into practice. students can retell and support main ideas, and then they can put that in order. So they can read a story and they can say this happened first, second, and third. This was the main idea and these are the details, and they can put that in a certain order. And basically, students are motivated. If they're motivated to read and they're engaged, they are going to have better comprehension and they are going to be more successful with the reading habits that they are setting forth to tackle. When we talk about reading and we're talking about RTI, we move on and start talking a little bit about some of the things that I touched base on when we are talking about decoding and chunking a little bit. They talked about that in the last lesson last week, but when we talk about becoming fluent and we're talking in a book and we want a student to be able to be a better reader and better in fluency, we may take a book and go through this book, and he's going to go through the book and say, ooh, I might not know this word. And let's say we pulled out the word forest. Okay, so I think that he's going to have trouble with that word. So we identified that word, and now we're going to come over here to this word bank, and we're going to pull out and spell, and we're going to spell this word together. Now the red sticks are going to be our vowels. And then we have blend sticks, or our yellow sticks, and ST happens to be a blend. So we're going to pull these words out for the student for his intervention. And we already can see, as we're doing this, we can see another word within the word that we're working on. We can see the word for, and then we see the blend in here. So with the strategies that he's already been working on, he can see forest. So now he's been able to go through and develop a skill that he can read this word. So when we go back to the book that we're reading, Going on a Leaf Hunt, which is kind of funny because it snowed today and we're moving right into winter and skipping fall, I guess. But anyhow, so now when he's coming in here and it says we're coming to a forest, he's able to go through and read that nice and smooth and fluently, and he was able to decode that word ahead of time. So already he's more fluent reading the book as opposed to stumbling over that word. Now let's say now we're taking this tier 2 student and he doesn't have an adult with him, and he doesn't know, oh, what am I going to do now? I don't have someone here to help me. I don't know what to do. Well, he's going to be his own boss. So now he's got this card. He's learned this skill, and he can look and he say, oh, stop, there's trouble. I don't know what I'm going to do. So he can go through and he can say, oh, what are some of the skills I've learned during my intervention that can help me decode this? Now, thinking about the student, he's already knows these alphabet things. He already knows his alphabet. He knows the sounds of the words. He's learned that already in kindergarten and first grade. This struggling reader is a little bit ahead, so he already has those skills. He knows the blend, so he can pull these out. But he can use this and think about how to chunk out this word. It may take him a little bit of time, but he already knows these skills, so he is able to pull this out and work on this on his own. So he has that particular skill on his own. So he can do these things. So he's able to go through and say, oh, I know I can break this down in a syllable, forest. So I can pull this out. Or I know an ending, or I can find a word inside of a word. Oh, there was a word inside of this word. So this one works. So for, I know this one. And then this one just happened to have a part of a word, so there was a blend in there. So this one had blanket, BL. This one had the ST. So this was a way for him to be his own boss. So this would be in his book bin for him. So when he's in reading workshop, that he would have this at his spot, and he could pull this out when there wasn't someone there that would be able to help him. He could actually help himself and take charge of his own learning. So that would be a couple of different ways that he can take charge of his own intervention also when there was an adult available. Another thing that would be something available is everyone's heard about these graphic organizers. So this would be an example that would be great for nonfiction. So we have a KWL chart. So looking at these, if you're not familiar, we have what I already know, then I have what I want to know and what I have learned. So we could use this, for example, let's say we're studying tornadoes. We have a weather unit and we have a reader that might be a struggling reader, but we need to keep them on track. So we can have topic here and we can write the topic. Let's say we're writing tornadoes. And then what I already know. Well, okay, so I already know that Wisconsin has a lot of tornadoes. So I can write something about tornadoes in here that I already know. Then I can say Wisconsin has had tornadoes. Wisconsin's in the Midwest. Okay, so I already know that. What I want to know, how many tornadoes happen in the Midwest? I could write that in there. And then the last thing you write is what I have learned. So after the unit, you go back and you can write some things you learned about Midwest tornadoes. Then you can write that in here, and it keeps the student organized with what they're learning in that particular unit. The one thing I like about this is it doesn't have to be complete sentences. You can put excuse me, you can make bullet points and they don't have to continually write all your sentences. Complete sentences can just be short little thoughts to keep you back basically on task, which is a wonderful thing. Down here I have a kind of a simple graphic organizer too. It's just main idea and details. So basically, what's the main idea? So if you're thinking about green eggs and ham, well, that Sam guy, he just wants everyone to eat and try green eggs and ham. Basically, he wants the narrator to try green eggs and ham. Detail, detail, detail. He's eating them here, he's eating them there, he's eating them everywhere. And he's frustrated because nobody will try them. The narrator won't try them. And basically we can have the summary down here, or moral, or the lesson, because there's a lesson in green eggs and ham, is basically don't be so quick to say no, or try new things, basically, is the moral of the story, so to speak. So here again, details, they don't have to be complete sentences. Especially when we're talking about, tier 2, tier 3, we're asking them to read. Now we're asking them to, oh my gosh, we have to write too. No, we can just quick sentences, jot, 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 and we're good to go. We're just keeping our ideas in order so we can remember what we're reading from day to day or from week to week. Because sometimes if we have a mini workshop, maybe we only have a reader's workshop that we have a mini lesson on a Tuesday, and what if we don't have one on Wednesday and Thursday? Now it's Friday. Oh goodness, what did we talk about or what did we read? We can pull this out and have a quick refresher and we know what happened. So that's the great thing about a graphic organizer for the students. Another thing is that we have been using at our school is something called Read Live. So you go on and it helps you not read like a robot, and that's a big thing about Fluency is Read Live is a cloud-based program where you log in, student goes on, and you take a test, an assessment right on the system, and then you are good to go. They build your backpack full of books, and the student basically is driving their own learning. They're reading along with the text. The text is highlighted and you're reading with their cadence, and you are basically going along with the reading, and at the end there's a comprehension check at the end, and you are continually being rechecked for that fluency number. So it's really neat, and the kids seem to really, really like it, and it is very successful with increasing their fluency and their comprehension, and they get to pick the topics in the books that they're reading, so they really, really enjoy that. So basically it's helping them a lot. It gives them puts them in the driver's seat of their learning. So one